Board with Friends, episode 42. Transformers trading card game.
I mean, I'm not allowed to tell that story because Zach wants to stay on topic.
Stay on topic.
All right, well, we got a little off topic.
Again, 40%. I'm lazy and I'm a mooch. What I do?
This is not that kind of podcast.
Welcome to Board with Friends, the hobby gaming podcast that is more than meets the eye. I'm Zach Dyer, and on today's episode, I am joined once again by Sean Bissonette.
You know what? I made sure to listen very, very closely in that one for what you're going to say after the Welcome to Board with Friends.
Did you guess I would say more than meets the eye?
I mean, I figured there'd be some kind of Transformers. It wasn't a pun, but you know what I mean. I figured there'd be something in there, but I was getting ready for it. I was like, the nerdy fun that goes along with it, even though that's the name of our network that we don't have any kind of website or social media for.
We've got a YouTube channel sort of named after it.
True, very true. No, you know what, Zach? You're right. I'm sorry. That was disrespectful of me. Let's start over again.
Nah, we're good. So I wanted to make a Transformers reference, obviously, because we're talking about a Transformers game, but yeah. I didn't want to go too obscure, but I also wanted to. I think I was a little on the nose with more than meets the eye, but I'm sure people will get over it. They also want us to shut up and talk about the game, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, what you could have done is, and we'll get to the game, but the baloney at the top of the show, that's what I come here for. That's what I listen for. I'm like, I already know how the game went. What are Sean and Zach going to talk about before they start talking about the game?
It's usually random.
Yeah, usually very random. But this will be about Transformers. So, other suggestions we could have gone with, you could have done something with You Got the Touch, but that might have been inappropriate. You could have done something with Dare. We could have talked about perhaps Shia LaBeouf a little bit.
Nope.
There's there's just so many different options. Weirdly,
I could have said Till All Are One. Would you have gotten that one?
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
I could have said Till All Are One. Would you have gotten that reference?
No. Who says that?
Oh, come on. It's from the 1986 Transformers movie. That was the Autobots' rallying call, Till All Are One. That's what Optimus Prime said before he died.
No. Hold on. In my head, I had Eeyore saying that.
Of course you
did.
So
I had it right. I mean, it was like
Till All Are One.
So I in my head I was on the right track, but I didn't want to say it, and you'd be like, no, it was actually Starscream for the 3 seconds he was the leader, and then
no.
Yeah. Did he say anything, or did he just put the crown on and immediately die?
He gave a very short speech about pontificating about how great he was going to be, and then Galvatron shot him. Said it was bad comedy. Great scene. Love that scene.
I haven't seen that movie since I was in high school. I got to get back to it.
Well, as we're recording this on September 27th, we could book it from here and go to a theater because for one night only, listeners in Future World, when they're hearing this, it's too late. You could have gone to the movie and seen it in theaters.
Wait, tonight?
Yeah.
Wait, at Cinema World, or is everywhere doing it?
Yeah, a bunch of theaters. I think Providence Place Mall was doing it or something.
Oh, well, is that why this game comes out tomorrow? Is it because of the movie? Is it an anniversary thing?
I honestly don't know. They picked September 28th. It's coming out tomorrow. We are... So anyway, to talk about why we're making so many Transformers references, I guess, we're going to talk about the Transformers trading card game, which launches on September 28th. And full disclosure, we received a... early copy from Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, courtesy of Renaud from Bot Talk, the moderator of the Bot Talk forums, so that we could, play it, get used to it, do a bunch of reviews. We got a whole bunch of videos going up on our YouTube channel for it, and that's our disclosure on getting the game for free, which is super cool because that's never happened to us before.
No, definitely not.
Also, we're recording this, and it's going to be simultaneously up on YouTube for the review as well. Probably with still frame images or cool stuff, pictures of the game or something in the background. Woo!
You know what? You should also just have a second audio track of you just going woo every time the picture transitions to another picture.
Except I'll loop myself over and over again, so it sounds like a whole bunch of people saying it.
Woo, 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 woo.
Well, if I was going to do that, though, with a picture, like going back and forth, I'd have to go woo doo 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 doo, which is the transition sound from the cartoon.
Do, 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 do. Well, oh, good, because you were going to say, well, see, when I did it in the correct key, I knew what.
Key, otherwise we get a copyright strike. That's why you have to make it sound off.
Oh, fair enough. But I just thought of the Who's in Whoville or Halo when you did it.
Oh, well. Sorry.
Welcome, Christmas. Christmas is here.
Hey, so let's talk about the Transformers TCG.
Oh, we're not going to talk about the How the Grinch Stole Christmas TCG?
Not at all. Is
Okay,
there one?
let's continue it. No, but I made the Who joke, and it fell flat, and I just doubled down and went for it again.
If I was a better editor, when you said made the Who joke, I would have put in the Who scream from, what is it, Teenage Wasteland? No. Whatever Who song that is where they scream at the beginning. Name escapes me.
Ha, 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 ha.
Nope, not that one. Anyway.
That's all the Who.
Transformers TCG. It's really late at night, folks. I am so tired, so we are off the rails right now. The Transformers TCG, we got a bunch of how to play videos and stuff like that, like I said, on the YouTube channel that you can check out. But just to give a brief summary, this is a trading card game a la sort of like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all those, but it's actually a fresh take on it. It's not using any system that's, to my knowledge, been around before. You start off, you build your team of Autobots or Decepticons or a combination of both, and they stay on the field. Like, you're not actually summoning anybody or whatever, they're just out there. And the objective is to knock out the opponent's team, and then you win. That simple. You have a battle deck that's comprised of cards that are actions and upgrades, so you can upgrade your characters and you can play actions that let you do all sorts of crazy abilities. And that battle deck serves a dual purpose, so that when you are attacking your enemies, you have to flip cards from the battle deck, and that will add to your attack or your defense, depending on which side of the battle you are currently on. That's pretty much the gist of it. It's a very simple card game, I feel, right, Sean?
Yeah, for sure. And when you were talking about how your entire team is just on the field all the time, you're not drawing and playing or gathering power to summon or something like that. What it kind of reminded me of would be like if it was like a turn-based RPG, and like that is your party. And
oh yeah, I didn't even think of it that way. Kind of like Final Fantasy or something.
Exactly. And there was a God, I think it was never actually properly in English, but I had a ROM of it in the late 90s, early 2000s. There was a Dragon Ball RPG that was for Super Nintendo, and it actually played a lot like this. Like, you had your party, like you had, like Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, whoever, but the way that you did your attacks would be you would draw cards and decide what cards you wanted to play, and you would put them in like different combinations to do different stuff. And it didn't really dawn on me that that's more or less exactly how this game plays, which is actually kind of cool.
Well, I've never heard of that game. So, I've heard of Dragon Ball, but I've never heard of that game.
I don't even remember what it was called. It was on Super Nintendo, and it went from, it was just the Saiyan saga and the Frieza saga. So it just went from Raditz landing on Earth through Goku beating Frieza, and there was a hidden boss where after you beat Frieza, you'd fight Super Saiyan Vegeta, even though that wouldn't make sense because he's not there. But yeah, that was a game that I played a lot of on my Meme's computer that I definitely got lots and lots of viruses on, downloading lots and lots of ROMs.
Well, all right then.
Yep. But yeah, so it was like, this is your party. The only thing that we kind of didn't mention is the way that your party is set up. All of the individual Transformers have like a power level. The highest one, Megatron and Optimus, each had 10 stars, but your entire party could not exceed 25 power. That we didn't run into just because we only had the 6 that came with the base deck, so we just split it up 3 and 3, so we were nowhere near 25.
Well, to clarify that, 4 come in the starter set. You get Optimus, Ironhide, Red Alert, and Bumblebee. The other 2 that we had to work with, Ransack and Megatron, they came from a booster pack, which was also provided courtesy of Hasbro.
Well, so I wonder if getting Megatron was on purpose or if you just got lucky.
I honestly don't know, but when I opened that pack and saw Megatron, I said, "Oh, I'm so glad I got Megatron because it would just feel weird not having Megatron versus Optimus right now."
No, seriously. Oh wow, I assumed that. Oh yeah, you know what? Because you did say that we got 2 booster packs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. No. Okay. Because I was like, wow, that's super lucky. Unless that was on purpose. But then again, like, why do we get that one Insecticon? So it probably was that we just got really lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, every booster pack, when you get one, comes with 1 character card and 7 battle deck cards. So you get the starter set. You should get a starter set just because they're not that expensive. It gives you a couple characters. It gives you 40 cards that you could split into 2 20-card decks. And they're identical. So there's no, he got the good card and I got the bad card. No, they're identical. And then you can split up the character cards however you want. Like one person gets Optimus, one gets Bumblebee, one gets Ironhide, one gets Red Alert, whatever you want to do. And you can play that way, just with that box. I don't recommend it, though, because you're not going to get the full experience. And it does come with these lovely beginner rules. You can just throw those out. To put it bluntly, it doesn't add anything to the game. It's basically just draw and attack. That's it. That's all you do in that. There's no actions. There's no upgrades. Nothing. It's very, very, very basic. So once you get the mechanics of attacking down, you can just stop doing that and just play the advanced game, which you have to go online right now to get the advanced rules, which is fine in this day and age. I mean, it is a digital age. I guess they don't have to print everything out, but it would have been nice to have a copy of those rules instead of having to go search for them online. Not hard to find, but just a small gripe. I would have liked to have had the real rules to the game instead of a little card that has the basic rules.
Well, the one thing that we got to keep in mind, though, is we don't know if when the full release of the game comes out, if there will be a proper printing of all of the rules.
That's true.
Because, I mean, it was everything that we have, even though it was in packaging, it's still pre-release. So, I mean, what we had isn't necessarily what the final product's going to look like. I mean, it's the same thing with anything that they're testing out and giving out for reviews and whatnot.
But to counter that and argue with you, we have to review based on what they gave us, and that is a complaint of mine, that I'm supposed to be reviewing this game and I didn't have a full set of rules. But they were easily obtainable at TransformersTCG.com, I think was the website. It's actually on the basic rule card. But you can go on there and download a PDF version of it. But I don't know. I just have this mentality of, some grandma buying this game for, her grandson or granddaughter, and they open it up and that's the rules, and they're going to be bored out of their minds because they didn't, read the whole card, or the parents don't want to play it or won't give them access to the internet to get the full rules or whatever. It just would have been nice to have them. And it's not a lot. Like, it was just 3 pages.
Yeah. Well, fair enough.
And, like, super, super condensed. Like, not condensed, just, spread out across those 3 pages. And the first page is nothing. Like, it's the basic rules again. So it's really only 2 pages of advanced rules. It was pretty easy.
Well, I mean, you know what? The way that we'll find out whether or not, like, it's a thing, maybe I will buy my own starter set, and we'll see if the full rules come with it or not.
Oh, Sean, do you really want to go down that road?
Because
if you buy a starter set, you might buy some booster packs.
Some, yes.
And then you might build a deck, and then we might play it a lot. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I talk about it in our video play, and I'll bring it up again in a little bit. But it's just like, yeah, like with a lot of collectible things, like I'm not someone who likes to gamble, but if it's a thing, like something like, for some reason, cards, I'm always like, I'm gonna get that one, and I'll just keep buying them until I get, like, I'm horrible with things like this, but I might dip my toe in if other folks want to play, and obviously we want to play more, which, yeah, I mean, each game only took about 15, maybe 20 minutes at the most to do. Like, it's something where if we don't have a whole heck of a lot of time, you can take it out, we can play a round or two, and I can embarrass you like I did when we played. It'll be great.
Sure. But to finalize the statement on the rules, also you could go to our YouTube channel and I teach you the game. Forgot about that. So you know what? Forget it, Hasbro. You don't need to do that. People just go to our YouTube channel and watch that over and over and over again.
Everyone who buys a starter pack, just go to the In All the Nerdy Fun YouTube channel, or just search. I assume just search Board with Friends Transformers. You'll find it, and then watch it, and then tell all your friends to watch it, and then tell your grandparents to watch it, and tell them not to worry about whether or not they understand what's happening.
And then put mean comments in the YouTube channel.
And if your parents already know what Transformers is, tell them that I'm sorry because I didn't mean to be disrespectful.
So the game itself, I mean, I in the rules breakdown, I open up the box and I look at it, and I kind of commented on it there as well, but I was really impressed by the design of this. I mean, the character cards are easy to read. Where everything is makes sense. Like, I was able to tell, okay, here's his attack power, here's his defense, here's his health, the special ability. Even though there's no glossary or anything explaining what word terms mean, they do put them on the cards, which was very helpful too, I found. The only thing some people, I guess, could complain about, I didn't mind this as much, is the artwork is recycled from previous games. There was a mobile game out a while back. It might still be out. I don't know. I don't play it. And there was also the artwork that was lifted from the IDW comics and some from packaging artwork for all the characters and all the battle cards, which was great to see because it showed a lot of other characters too on those battle cards. Which was exciting because I'm like, ooh, are they going to be characters too? Like, am I going to get to play with, as Pipes? Am I going to get to play as, Fortress Maximus? Am I going to get to play as, Overlord? Like, this would be great. And I know there's plenty more characters coming, so I'm excited for all of that. But what did you think when you first looked at it, Sean?
I mean, I liked the artwork on all the cards. I mean, you say it's recycled. Like, I don't have any frame of reference for that, but all of the, I mean, when everyone's in their alt mode, like whatever, it's a car, it's cool.
I mean, they're not all cars.
Yeah, fair point. They're all whatever thing they are. Standard Cybertronian forms or whatever we're supposed to call them. I liked all of that. I liked the art on the cards themselves. Everything was very straightforward and easy to read. Like, the game is simple enough that because the battle system is all based on colors, essentially. So it's very easy for you to recognize exactly what you need to do whenever you're trying to use one of those cards. There was never a point where it's like, for example, the piercing damage. On every single piercing damage card, it told you what piercing damage was. So there was never a point where you would have to go back and look at the rules to get reference on, something, because it explained exactly what you needed to do on every single card. There was never a point where we were confused about what we were supposed to do with any of the actions on the card. Right. So I did. Well, I mean, there was one time that we had a little kerfuffle with the piercing. It was like, well, do you have to do that much damage? Can you? It doesn't matter. But that was more of us having an issue more than anything that the card didn't present properly.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it explains it as best it can, I guess. It still would have been nice to have a glossary or something like that. But they did just recently release an FAQ online, which explains all of the terminologies that they use in the game: piercing, bold, tough, all those things that, and it explains them. It also answers a lot of questions about character abilities. And I was glancing through it before we were recording, and it lists a lot of characters, which gets me excited. So I know all the Dinobots are going to be in the game, all the Insecticons. There's going to be so many more characters that you beyond the initial season 1 generation 1 cartoon. I'm hoping if this game has legs, that means we're going to see characters from other generations as well. Like, maybe we'll start to see some Beast Wars characters. Maybe we'll see, some from the original Robots in Disguise, not the current one. All over the place. Maybe even the movie universe, if we're lucky. But that's what I'm hoping, eventually this spawns into. it was also, I mean, not as big a fan as I am. Is that safe to say, Sean?
It was certainly yes.
Okay, good. I don't want to hurt your feelings. But Transformers over the years has had a large number of gimmicks associated with it, not just the actual transforming. I don't know how many you're familiar with beyond, just the transforming, but there's combiners, obviously. Like, I'm sure you know those. Everybody knows like Devastator and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you say combiners, Devastator's the only one that I know.
By name, probably, but yeah. That's a gimmick of Transformers that's been around since the very beginning, pretty much. But there's also, like the Headmasters, the Target Masters, the Pretenders, and stuff like that. Just over the years, Minicons is a more modern term for them, I guess, too. But I can see a lot of those gimmicks being incorporated as game mechanics to really expand this going forward. Like, how cool would it be if, Soundwave is a big character card and he can, as an ability, he can eject small, like, little cards of his cassettes that become more characters that you can play with. And maybe they get knocked out if Soundwave get knocked out, but they have the ability to attack and defend and stuff like that too.
Well, what you're saying kind of reminds me of different, for the brief period, oh gosh, 4, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe more. I don't know. Whenever my brother initially found out that he had Crohn's, we all started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Because like he couldn't really go out and stuff. And the deck that I had, it was like a robot deck, and like they all like synergized to like once you got like the train rolling, you were constantly summoning like more dudes. So everybody kind of was everybody synergized with one another, and that's a lot with I don't play Hearthstone so much anymore, but there's a lot of Hearthstone decks too where that's the same kind of idea. So if you have all these different people that are all like teams, so like I know the Insecticons are coming out right away, but from the couple of abilities that we read, they synergize together, but they're not, you summon one or this one does this ability, which changed to this one doing this ability, which changed to this one doing this ability. That doesn't really seem to be at least it doesn't look like from what we've seen as a mechanic yet. So if you can get all these teams within a team out there and they all synergize that well with each other, that'd be a really cool meta thing, other than I have really good guys with really good stars.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I was thinking more like, okay, the Target Masters, for example, they were always a gimmick I liked in the 80s, and they occasionally come back in modern toys and comics and stuff like that, but they were essentially the guns of the big Transformers turned into smaller robots. So what if the Target Masters were upgrade cards, and you could put them on your normal character, but then those Target Masters could transform and become a character as well. They could either boost your guy, or they could come off and be a separate attack or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a game designer. I don't know how it would work. I just got these ideas,
Yeah. And I have partially question, partially statement. Like I Googled just TCG because I want to see, like, if I do want to buy the starter pack and stuff, like what store I can get it at. But there's a Metroplex starting set, and he has 35 health.
Mm-hmm. That's not out yet, but that is another thing that they are adding in, is the city bots, which is pretty cool.
But like, even scrolling through, there's Slipstream and Cliffjumper, and they both have more HP than Megatron and Optimus did. Like, and then even Nemesis Prime, like looks like he kicks the crap out of Optimus or Megatron. So I'm wondering if.
But you got to remember, those characters are going to cost more. Like, they're going to have, you'll be able to have less heroes on the field.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, because Megatron and Optimus were both either 9 or 10 stars. So I'm wondering how much these other bots are going to be.
I think this came up in our live play, but the mechanic in attacking where if you're completely tapped out, but I still have more characters not tapped for some reason, I can get a second attack in. That would be an example. If you built your deck around Metroplex, but you only have Metroplex and like one other character, and I got 5 characters, that means I could get multiple attacks on Metroplex and whittle down his health a lot more. So that's kind of a trade-off. If you're going to put one of those high-value cards out there, they're going to be vulnerable to a swarm of characters. If I play with a bunch.
Good point. Yeah, because on all these pictures of the cards, it doesn't seem to show their power cost. So, but yeah,
because it's on the alt mode side. But
oh, you're right. Oh, and speaking of which, another thing with the card that I do appreciate is whether it's the alt mode or their standard form, it tells you what their attack and defense is for the other mode on each face of the card. So if you're trying to think about who you want to transform, and you don't want to at a glance show your opponent what you're thinking, you can at least see their base stats on both sides of the card, which I appreciate.
That is extremely helpful because the stats do change depending on which side they're on. I think exactly. Megatron, for example, his attack went way up, but his defense goes down when he's in his robot mode. Plus, he has that Pierce, which is super powerful because he had Pierce 3.
So you're doing. You can't be reduced past 3 damage, which is nice.
Yes. And then there was I mean, a lot of those abilities, I look forward to picking up more boosters because I want to see what abilities synergize well with other ones. What characters go well together. Because the card Ransack, for example, I really liked his ability. It was really cool that when you flipped him to his alt mode, his insect mode, he would take damage from other characters and put it on him. And then when you transformed him back to his robot mode, the amount of damage counters that he had equaled his attack value. So he basically became a glass cannon. And you also got to heal your other characters. So I had Optimus Prime on my team, he's pretty powerful. So to heal him with Ransack and then hit you hard with Ransack it was a nice combination there. I felt anyway. And then you beat me. So.
Yeah. And then I won. I mean, you won. You won one game.
Yeah, and I also beat Walt Chad when I played it with him.
Yeah, well, Walt Chad apparently doesn't matter because he didn't beat me.
We'll have a showdown between you two. All right.
Well, but it's also whether Walt's going to get some I plan on getting at least the starter deck in a few booster packs. So we'll have full decks because I mean if your deck is supposed to be 40 cards, we were each playing with 30 cards. And most of our cards were identical. It was just which Transformers we had. So I'd be interested to see when we can make our own teams, what would how that would go.
Yeah, and that leads me into what I wanted to talk about next, which is the battle deck itself. I mean, we didn't get the full experience with that because we only had, like you said, 27 card decks instead of 40. Also, we didn't really get to craft that much because we didn't have a lot of cards to choose from, which is okay. I mean, this was just to give us a flavor of how the game's going to play. But to be able to craft the battle deck could be very interesting, especially when you're picking your characters. Because I was reading a lot of the abilities that they have. A lot of them have to do with those icons on the top right. Because you flip your cards when you're doing battles. If I'm attacking you, I have to flip 2 cards. And I'm looking for orange icons because that boosts my attack. But there's also the white icon, which normally if you just flip one, it lets you flip 2 more cards. It just gives you a bonus. But a lot of the character abilities and some of the upgrades that you can put out there tie into that white icon. And they'll let you do even more cool stuff when you flip those. So it becomes even more crucial to really craft your deck and build it and cater it to the abilities that you have available to you. Also, it would just be nice to have more cards. That way we weren't constantly shuffling it.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. And what we were talking about I'm hoping that more of the cards you get allow you to go into your scrap pile or reshuffle stuff more quickly, because there were quite a few cards that until we evenly distributed the decks after our first game, that I didn't even know existed, because I had never actually gotten to play them, because I kept scrapping them for my attack and defending rounds.
Yes, that is one of my. I'll call it a complaint. The mechanic of flipping the cards, it's an interesting way to randomize and give a boost, but it's very frustrating when you flip over cards like, oh, I could have really used that in my hand, because that would have been such a useful card to have and not flip, because maybe it doesn't have the icon that I want, or it doesn't have an icon at all, but its ability is something I really, really wanted to use. And now I don't have a way of getting it until my deck reshuffles.
Which, yeah, so I mean, but we'll see once, not even, just post-release, but as more cards are released throughout the rest of the year, and beyond that, if that becomes like a mechanic, because in not a lot, I assume in every TCG there is at least one or two kinds of decks that involve going through your discard pile to get thing to shuffle into your hand, to do this, to do that.
Not to interrupt, I don't play Magic that often, but I have a deck still that's a graveyard deck, and that's exactly what it's for, is to get things out of the discard pile and put them back into play. Kill them first, and then it's easier to get them out. So there's definitely a mechanic involved in that, and I have seen cards in this game that let you pull from the scrap pile, sorry. And, they might let you pull from the scrap pile and put it on the top of your deck, or they'll let you pull from the scrap pile and put it in your hand, or sometimes back into play. So there's going to be ways to do it.
It's just a matter of us seeing how that's implemented and how common those cards are. Because if it's something that is very few and far between, then you're just constantly going through and reshuffling your deck over and over and over again. Which can be frustrating. Which, that would be... until I get more cards to play with, probably my biggest critique of the game.
Yeah, I think once we get more cards, I will revisit whether or not this is a complaint or not. We were talking about it after we played a few times. Like, it would have been, I think, more strategic to you could play two cards from your hand, so that you had to make a choice of the cards that you had available to you. Is this worth giving up to boost this attack, or should I keep it in my hand? But then you get more into now you're leaning more into like how Magic the Gathering or Pokemon might play, where you're playing from your hand instead of this random flipping from the deck. I mean, it makes the game unique, but I don't know if I like it 100% yet.
It is different, because there were points where I just... there's very rarely in the little bit that I've played Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Magic where I would go extended periods of time with nothing in my hand.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's just okay, well, draw a card. I guess I'll use it, or I can't use. It's. I think it was the last one. No, you know what? It was the one we played before we recorded. I basically didn't have any cards in my hand that whole game.
Yeah.
Which is weird for a trading card game to not have any cards.
Yes, I agree. I mean, you're drawing one card per turn, usually. That I think the game before that one, the first game where I taught you how to play, I was using Optimus, and one of his abilities, I think when you flip him into his vehicle mode, is you get to draw another card. And I just needed cards. I was out. I'd played all my actions. I had nothing but upgrades that I couldn't use. So I was flipping over Optimus just to get more cards in my hand. So that is also frustrating. There's got to be more mechanics to draw cards too.
Yeah, and the fact that you only start with 3 cards in your hand as opposed to 5 or 6 like you do in some of the other games was probably another thing that affected that. But it seems like that the main mechanic is drawing cards to play them, not to hoard stuff in your hand. So it's just mechanic of the game.
And typically, especially if you have a full roster in front of you, once you get past that first 2 turns, which are nerfed, I guess would be the term, because you're not getting, the first player does not get to play a upgrade or an action. The second player can play one or the other, not both. But then once you get to turn 3, you can do both. Once you get to that stage, you're pretty much putting down almost always 2 cards a turn. So yeah, you're going to be cycling through your hand very quickly.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially if you're drawing a lot of upgrades and you're getting them all out onto the field. Sometimes actions like I found that usually if I was holding on to one or 2 cards, they were actions that it wasn't a good time to play them. But upgrades, you're usually getting them out right away.
There's also a couple cards that let you, cull cards from your hand too. I had those where you could draw 3 cards and then put 2 in your scrap pile or whatever. I'm hoping that means, like we were talking about, that there would be cards that let you pull from your scrap pile. So
yeah,
that's going to work well together, those types of cards.
Which, yeah, we'll see after, tomorrow and beyond.
Oh, yeah.
I know that the NDA is only until tomorrow, but does the game actually come out tomorrow? Like, would you be able to go to Best Buy or GameStop or Target and like?
It is supposed to launch on the 28th, which is tomorrow. So today, when you're listening to this, hopefully, because I can't put this out until tomorrow.
Today, the past.
Today, yes. I hear a TARDIS sound in the back of my head.
Yep. Well, I admired more of the Spaceballs. When will it then be now?
Yes, soon.
Soon. But yeah, cool.
But yeah, so far I do like it. I like it more than I thought I would, because it was billed as a entry-level game, and I think it is, but I think it does a good job. So I do recommend it. I think it's going to be a great filler game. Like you mentioned, it's only 15 to 20 minutes to play around, so it could easily fit in between, the bigger games. But it also, if you're just got 2 people sitting at lunch and you want to play while you're eating lunch, go for it. I think the only drawback is, and I hate to say this as a fan, is the theme. Like, a lot of people are just not going to touch it because it's not their thing, But I think a lot of, parents could play this with kids. Kids could play it on the playground or whatever. It's going to be a fast-paced game. So it's not going to be like, when I was little, we played Magic, in the hallway at school during recess or whatever. We were allowed to do that. But we almost never actually finished a game because recess wasn't long enough to, play a full game of Magic. Recess is long enough to play a full game of this.
No, for sure. I guess I don't really know. I guess my summary in addition, but firstly, I have some nostalgia for Transformers. Like, I loved the toys. I didn't really watch the show. I just had friends at the VHSs. It wasn't really on. Like, I'm a couple years younger than you, but it was already not on TV anymore.
You didn't watch Generation 2? You didn't watch Beast Wars?
I watched Beast Wars, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We got to get a Beast Wars set in this game.
Optimus Primal.
Yes.
I loved, I loved Dinobot because he was a raptor. That's all I cared about. But I watched the movie as a kid because a friend had it. I watched a couple but it was mostly the toys for me. They still make Transformers cartoons, I imagine, right? Like they're got to be recycling the crap out of this thing. There's got to be more Transformers cartoons than there are Spider-Man cartoons.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's basically every year or 2 they start a new show.
Okay, cool. So it's okay, cool. So it is a thing that kids, they know it's not just the Michael Bay movies.
Hopefully.
But yeah, so I mean, the theming, I've always liked Transformers, but it's the kind of thing where it's that in some of the other stuff that came out in the late 80s. I was born in the late 80s, so if it was still on TV, then great. But if it wasn't on TV, it was that thing that my friends who had older siblings liked, so I got a little bit of exposure to it. So I had very little expectation going in. I was like, cool, it's a trading card game. It's Wizards of the Coast. It'll be, it'll be functional. I'll probably enjoy playing it, but whatever. Let's review this thing. And I do like it. I like it enough to invest in, the starter kit and maybe a couple of booster packs. So, me, you, Walt, Devin, whoever else can play when we're doing a game night, or we just have a little bit of time to kill. So I'm definitely going to invest at least a little bit of money into it. It is simple, but I like that. Because what I'm hoping is that it's simple for you to learn how to play it, but there will be more interesting mechanics that you can get into, and do more stuff with. That's my hope for it. But I also appreciate how easy it is because it's kind of mindless. So it's like you just kind of you're just. I don't mean that mindless in a bad way, but like you're just kind of you're just playing. You know what you're doing. You don't have to overthink a whole heck of a lot. At least not with these basic cards that come with the starter kit. So my and I said this when we did our Let's Play or live play or whatever the heck it's called when it's physical media. I want a digital version because if I was sitting on the couch watching TV and I wanted to just like dick around on my phone for a minute, like this would be perfect. It's easier to play than Hearthstone, and or the Pokemon game or something like that. It's nice and straightforward. And I'm sure that they're probably developing it or thinking of developing it to be mobile, because everything needs to be mobile, because then that's just more money that you can get. But I'm sure they also are waiting to see whether or not this is successful before they invest in making another version of it. So hopefully it is successful enough so I can get an app and play that, because I play the app a lot.
Mm. I think a app would be a good investment for this as well, just because I could play it more. While you're sitting on your couch watching TV, I could send you an invite and we could play against each other that way.
Exactly. Or even just randos.
Like even just trying to get my kids to play this, Lily and I played the basic version. I had to practically bribe her to get her to do it because it wasn't her thing. The theme is not what she's into. Anytime that we sit down and she picks up any of my Transformers, she's making them play house together because that's what she's interested in. Like I'll see, Autobots and Decepticons playing house together. It's great. And that's fine. That's her play pattern that she wants to do. But she did play the card game and, she just said, okay, that was fun and walked away. Because it just doesn't interest her. But we also only played the basic version. That's how I got to try it. So there is that. Maybe when she's a little bit older, she'll want to play an advanced version. She already plays Pokemon. She's been asking to play Magic the Gathering, so she could definitely handle this game. I'm not saying she can't. It's just not her thing. Yeah. I would like more people who want to play this with me, which unfortunately, like I said earlier, the theme makes it difficult to do that because, if you take out Magic, like there's something in that for everyone because it's just high fantasy for the most part. I mean, there's other stuff in there too. I'm sure Magic the Gathering players will come at me for saying it's just high fantasy, but there's a lot of stuff in Magic. So there's something in it for everyone. This is just Transformers, which I love. So I'm cool with it, but that doesn't mean, Vanessa's going to be all over it because she's not into Transformers. That's not her thing. But I did make her promise that she would at least play with this with me once.
I mean, yeah, like I like Transformers fine. Who doesn't like, giant fighting robots? Like, come on.
I know, right?
Don't lie to yourself. I mean, whether or not you are an expert on the politics of the war going on Cybertron, and whether or not Megatron is a terrorist or something like that, I don't know. But actually, I don't even know if that's the case. Is that the case?
Kind of.
Okay, cool.
Depending on the continuity, yeah.
I'd be interested to know.
Read the comics.
But yeah, I read the one and it was good. I just don't. I should. You're right. But I like the theme. Like I like robots. I mean, when we were playing it, I was like, oh man, I want to do like some kind of Warforged only D&D campaign. I don't know if it'll be like full on Transformers, but I do want, civilization of robots fighting each other. That seems cool. So but yeah, it's the same token. Fewer people are going to want to play this over Pokemon or Magic or, Yu-Gi-Oh's all weird, but it's established. It's been around for a while. I don't even know if people still really play Yu-Gi-Oh.
I think so.
I don't know. I mean, I know people play Pokemon, and Pokemon is great, and Pokemon's one of my favorite things ever, but I would rather... I think I would need to play it more, but I think I'd rather play this than the Pokemon trading card game.
I know the guys at the who do the Beast Wars Wednesdays YouTube show on, I think their channel's called Moving Pictures. I think one of the people on that channel plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I heard them mention it several times. So people still play Yu-Gi-Oh!
I mean, I played it. I haven't played it in a very long time.
They also did an episode where they played Pog, so, I mean, maybe they just really like old games, so...
You know what? I never played Pogs, just like nobody played Pokemon cards. You just had them.
It's so true. It's so true. They just collect them.
When I did play, we didn't use energy cards. So you just like, all right, this guy's out. I can attack now.
Oh,
so
in Pokemon?
Yeah.
Oh,
we
yeah.
did it very wrong. Very wrong.
See, I was such a snob as a kid because I was like, no, I play Magic. I don't want to play Pokemon cards.
I don't play Pokemon cards, so I will tap that land.
So anyway, the Transformers trading card game, it's worth a look. And it definitely has potential to get a lot more to it, I feel. And, hey, it may take off and be super popular even with people who aren't Transformers fans because people just like the mechanics or something like that. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping Hasbro doesn't do the same thing they did to the Arena of the Planeswalkers game and just completely abandon this after a couple expansions. So the only major expansion we know of is the Metroplex one. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned earlier. I don't know what it's going to do, but I definitely want to check that out. And then obviously all the boosters. But is there going to be a wave 2 if they sell? Are they going to continue to support this game? That's what's really going to matter here. Because if they're not going to, if there's no word of a second wave, coming out or however that works with trading card games in 6 months or something like that, I might lose interest and not want to keep playing it.
Yeah, I mean, as for hope for the game. Transformers will always make money because people like robots. But at the same time, if they aren't getting what they expect out of it, then maybe they will reboot it or ditch it or whatever. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And what I will say is, even if you're not crazy about Transformers, because I'm not, like Transformers is cool, but whatever. Give it a whirl, or at least watch some videos or listen to some other reviews and see if it's something that you might like the actual gameplay of it. Because even though I don't care much for Transformers necessarily, I do like it, and it's making me interested enough to maybe go check out the source material. So that's something.
Yeah. And if Hasbro gives us a Whirl card, that would be really cool too, because I love Whirl.
Whirl was the one in the comic that was like crazy, right?
Batcrap crazy, yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right.
He's one who should have very low defense and super high attack, and some really fun abilities. They need to make a Whirl card.
I even though I only read that one comic, I foresee him for some reason being like Imperfect Cell, like first form Cell.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like, want to see something cool? What? Like that's what I see when I look at that one eye.
Nice. All right. Any final thoughts, Sean? Or I think we pretty much said everything we want to say so far.
Yeah, and I'm good. I enjoy it. You're not working tomorrow, obviously, so you can't go with me to Target to buy some booster packs because I'm going to be at your store.
Oh, I'm going to be out and about tomorrow. I'm setting up for CumberCon.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh my goodness gracious me. Well, before I go home, I plan on either going to the GameStop or the Target right next door and checking out some stuff.
Well, then I will get there first and buy all of it, so you can't.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll save me money then.
Oh, actually, that's a bad idea because I want you to invest in it and keep playing with me. Never mind. I'm going to leave them there.
All right.
I didn't think that through.
No, you didn't.
All right. Let's wrap it up here. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this show, why not check out some of the other projects on the And All the Nerdy Fun network, including Critical Failure, a show where a bunch of people with absolutely no experience with RPGs decide to sit down and try Dungeons & Dragons. Or Bored with Friends. It's a book club style show where we just discuss things other than board games, like comic books, movies, TV shows, just all sorts of pretty much anything really. Also, check out our YouTube channel, And All the Nerdy Fun, where we're going to have video reviews of different board games. All the podcasts are available on there to listen to, and who knows what other projects might show up. If you really enjoyed this show, reach out to us on Twitter and let us know, @BoredWithFriend. Like us on Facebook, or give us an iTunes review, always helpful. Or head on over to our website, boredwithfriends.blogspot.com. Either way, thanks for listening.